everybody, Ethan here from WordTech, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking a little bit of a kind of off subject for the channel to some degree. I mean, we cover a lot of tech here, but usually it's laptops, servers, more nerdy stuff. But I actually wanted to talk about a tablet, and this is because I found a tablet that I've actually been using for, I think, almost a year now. Bought it not that long after it came out, and I felt like it was time to talk about it because I've owned a lot of tablets in my life, and this is actually my favorite tablet, I think, of all time, and nails some really important stuff, which is really weird for a tablet that has a MediaTek processor and is absolutely like just dog slow. Like, it is not a good experience using it, which is really weird to say when I just said that it's my favorite tablet of all time. So I'll get to that in a bit, but I thought it was worth talking about because I would really like other manufacturers to have a better understanding of this, of what tablets, in my opinion at least, should be. So I figured I'd talk about that for a little bit. We'll go over the specs briefly, but then most of this is actually going to be about the usability experience of this tablet rather than the specifications, which oftentimes we spend a lot of time on how thin, how fast, how nice the screen is, which, you know, arguably some of those things really matter. But there's reasons that I care about this tablet so much more than other tablets, including like my Tab Ultras that I've had from Samsung. I've also had iPad Pros, stuff like that. So this is coming from a background of somebody who's had quite a few tablets, including very, very expensive ones, not just somebody who has spent their time on budget tablets. So this tablet here has a Helio G99 processor from MediaTek. I'm not even going to go into the specs of it further than that. It is not a very fast processor. It is very, very slow. There's a reason that this tablet is roughly $200, which I'll touch a little bit more on the price later and why I think that's also kind of amazing. It has 8 gigs of RAM, it has 128 or 256 gigs of storage, depending on the model you get. It does have a micro SD card slot, which is really, really awesome on a budget tablet. For larger tablets, we oftentimes don't see that anymore, so very nice to see expandable storage on here, and there's actually very good reason for it that maybe this tablet excels at more than other tablets, so we'll get to that as well as why micro SD makes a ton of sense. This also has a LCD display. It's not an OLED. You can't expect an OLED at that price, so I don't think anybody's surprised by that. But it is 1200p, so decently sharp. It is a good display. It gets quite bright. I don't remember the measurements off the top of my head here, but it does get very bright. It's good enough to, I don't think you really want to use it outdoors in direct sunlight, but it's plenty for even like really bright indoor environments and stuff like that. You'll be able to see it just fine. It's obviously going to be great on a plane or a car ride or something along those lines. So before I jump into why I necessarily think this is my favorite tablet of all time and why I think more companies should be paying attention to this, even in the high-end tablet segment, I want to touch a little bit on what a tablet, in my mind, should be. And this is going to be subjective to some degree, but I feel like tablets do not excel at being computers, and they're not meant to be computers. And as much as Apple wants us to think that they are going to be full computers that you're going to use for everything, and as much as you could do a lot of stuff, including video editing and photo editing and other stuff like that, programming even, on tablets, especially the iPad, I don't actually think tablets are a good form factor for that kind of thing. Now, artwork like drawing excluded from that because there are lots of good reasons why you might want to do that, and those are very obvious. But for a lot of the real work that you want to do, in my opinion, tablets in many ways are not work devices. They're not a good form factor to do work. It's a screen. And all in all, it should really be a media consumption device. That's what they kind of were designed to be in the first place. And if you want to do real work, I think you should use a computer. Now, before you jump into the comments and start telling me that I use a tablet for real work, or you can do so much on a tablet, even though I kind of just said that you can, keep in mind that basically anybody, other than drawing art, anybody that's using a tablet for real work has a keyboard case with the tablet so that they can use it like a regular laptop. So I'm not gonna get into too much more specifics there. I just don't think a tablet is necessarily a productivity tool in the way that a lot of the companies want you to think it is. And I think a lot of it is marketing speak to try to get you to buy it, which of course everything is. So for me at least, and I think for a lot of people, whether they think it or not, a tablet is really good as a media consumption device. That's what they're best at. It's a large display. It's able to show you movies and stuff in a larger screen than you can get on your phone without taking up the same amount of space and weight as a laptop, as well as having the poor battery life and other stuff like that that you get in most laptops, especially Windows laptops. I know Mac has kind of excelled on the other side of that. But I think that they're meant to be media consumption devices, or at least I think that's what they are best at. And I actually think a lot of the higher end tablets fall really flat on that specific thing because they're trying to be pretty and they're trying to market to you that they're for productivity. And so I think there's a really weird kind of thing going on where the most expensive, nicest ones are actually the worst at the thing that the form factor is best at. And that's why when I bought this tablet, I just wanted a cheap tablet for media consumption. I was like, I don't need anything fast. Like, I don't care that it's a MediaTek. As long as it can play a video without stuttering, then I am fine with it. And it's capable of that. Like, the media engine's totally fine to play like 1440p back, just fine. So I decided to go with this. I was like, it's 200 bucks or 230 bucks. It kind of fluctuates a little bit. I'm sure on Black Friday, I have a feeling you're gonna be able to get it for like $199, but I have not seen that deal pop up yet. But I was like, why not? You know, go for it. It seems to be what I want. It's maybe a little smaller than I'd like, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But this tablet is very much so designed to be a media consumption tablet, and it has a few key things that I think make it really, really good for media consumption. So you do have a good display. It's not an OLED. Again, if we could get higher end tablets to do this, I would rather have an OLED display on here. But what this tablet has is an 8600 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty large for a tablet of this size. It has a built-in kickstand. It has amazing speakers. I'll get to that in a sec. And it has a micro SD card slot. And all four of those things, in my mind, make it a really good media consumption device. And then to top that all off, since it's running the MediaTek, its battery life is actually excellent. I don't remember well enough how good the battery life was on like my S9 Ultra, which obviously had a larger cell as well, because part of the reason I don't have that anymore is because I felt like it actually wasn't that good of a media consumption device. So a little bit hard for me to judge the battery life directly on that, but I will say that there are days where I watch several hours of content on this, and I will do that for 3 or 4 days in a row before I actually charge the thing. And it's about a year old now. It's gone through quite a few charge cycles because I do use it a lot. So touching on each of those things, the built-in kickstand. I think the built-in kickstand is maybe the most important part of this tablet. It's borderline for me between that and the speakers, but the kickstand on this thing is amazing. Every tablet should have a built-in kickstand. It is so much better to use your device without having to put a case on it and without having to put a flimsy kickstand case on it. You know, you get the ones for like that Samsung has with their folio case, and like it just feels like it's gonna fall. The kickstand doesn't feel sturdy. It's too wide. I am not a fan of the way they're doing that. I don't like any of the ways that any of the tablets actually are doing the kickstands, to be honest. And most of them want you to have like a folio that covers the display, which is just an inconvenience for me. So having a built-in kickstand that is sturdy, is going to last, and is infinitely adjustable, because you can do whatever you want with this thing, right? You can lay it way down. That is a key factor for me, and something that I think all tablets should have, or at least some of the high-end tablets should have. Like, maybe there's a market for the high-end tablets. I don't necessarily think there is, except that people are buying them, so I guess there is. I don't think there's a market for the high-end tablets that aren't media-focused, in my personal opinion. But at least for me, I would love to have, like, you know, a 12-inch Samsung Galaxy tablet with high-end specs and OLED display and a built-in kickstand. So that's a like number one for me, is that it has the built-in kickstand. I don't want to buy another tablet that doesn't have a built-in kickstand. That's just how I feel. The speakers is kind of the other thing to go into here. The speakers on this tablet are the best I have ever heard in any tablet ever. They are actually that much better than other tablets. It has 8 JBL speakers. Everybody likes their branding, but these speaker grills are not a joke, right? Like, this thing actually sounds incredible. Believe me, they are amazing, right? Like, I'm comparing this directly to like the latest iPad Pros, the latest Tab Ultras from Samsung, and it's just incredible. This thing excels in everything. And it's not that it's the loudest, although it's quite close. It's that it sounds so much better. You get so much more low end on this than you get on another tablet, which allows you to use this tablet as a speaker, and it does have a feature to be a Bluetooth speaker, and it excels at that as well, whereas most tablets I wouldn't want to use for that. But this, you want to use this to fill a room with music, you absolutely can. The speakers are so good and so loud on this that when I'm running on the treadmill, I no longer use headphones, I just use the built-in speakers. I don't know if the people I live with like that much, but it's great for me because I don't like wearing headphones, earbuds. Not a fan of that, especially when I work out. It just annoys me, it doesn't matter how good they are. So having a really loud tablet is fantastic. I absolutely love that. This also has a micro SD card slot. Now, I don't need that personally because all my media is streamed, even if it's streamed from my own servers. So I'm all about media ownership. I think that's really important. I actually have a video coming on that as well. I'm not sure when that'll be done, but I think that's an important thing. But media ownership doesn't mean that you have to have it locally. So for me, I stream a lot of my media from my servers and stuff. I also do watch live streams in YouTube on this quite a bit. And that means that micro SD is maybe not right for me, but for somebody that travels a lot and wants to own their media, you can load this thing up with a lot of high quality videos on a micro SD card and take it on a plane, not have to worry about internet, and you've got everything that you need right there. So that's a fantastic thing to include. Every device should be including micro SD card slots at this point. I'm a little more okay with it now that we have some phones that don't have a physical SIM slot, but back when they did, like, just put the SD card on the other side, it's not going to take up that much space. Anyway, that's a side, tangent there, but I think it's great that this includes that. Now, like I said, battery life is also fantastic on this tablet. It's enough to get me through several days before I charge it. It's the kind of battery life that's good enough that once you notice you're starting to be in that like 30% range, then you're like, oh, I should charge it tonight. So it's great on that. It does have good standby time, so sometimes there's days I don't use it. That's less and less often now, but there are days that I don't use the tablet and it'll last for over a week at that point, like in your bag and stuff like that. That's no problem. So it's always ready for me, which is great. I've never had it get so low that it dies on me. And in many ways, all of this leads me to my main point, which is other manufacturers other than Lenovo/Motorola, can you please take note of this form factor and make a high-end tablet in this form factor? There's definitely an area for them to be nice and cheap. Like, again, I use this while I'm on the treadmill a lot, and it might get knocked over, and I'm not gonna be as terrified if a $200 tablet falls over instead of a $1,000 tablet, right? But for me, I think I would like to see a higher end version of the same thing, maybe more like a 12 or 13 inch, something a little bit larger. This is an 11.5-inch display. Something a little bit bigger would be nice, especially because I read a lot of articles and stuff like that on it. But if other manufacturers could take note and actually make tablets that are useful for the thing that tablets are the best at, I would really be happy. I would like to see that, because right now I feel like it's kind of a lost market. And you're seeing that from other reviewers and creators too that talk about like the iPad, where they go, it's amazing all the stuff you can do on an iPad, but it's all still better on a Mac, right? And it's same for like worse for Android tablets and versus like a PC, right? So it's, Windows, Linux, whatever you're doing, these things, just like video editing and other professional work, is just better when you have a real keyboard and real performance and real applications that actually have everything, right? Because like, as amazing as DaVinci Resolve on iPad is, it's missing like 80% of shit that you would have on the desktop variant, right? There's lots of dumb restrictions. And so that's the issue with trying to use a tablet as a productivity device, other than, again, for the things that it will excel at, like some people use it for writing, taking notes, writing, or doing artwork, right? Throw that out there. Like, obviously they're the better form factor for that than a laptop. But from my perspective, I really feel like we should see more of this. And I really like that Lenovo kind of stepped out of the comfort zone a little bit here. And even though it's low-end specs, made a tablet that is really, really good and excels at the things that, in my opinion, tablets should be good at. So that's kind of my review here of the Lenovo Tab Plus, which is the 11.5-inch. I think it's the only one under the Plus branding. Kind of a terrible name, if we're being honest, just Lenovo Tab Plus. Nothing else. But anyway, that's kind of my review of this. It's a $200-ish tablet, $200 to $230. It depends on the storage size and, again, what they have going on deal-wise. Black Friday is, upon us, or maybe past, depending on when I edit this video. But you might be able to get it for a really good price. So it's a great tablet and a great experience. And let me know down in the comments if you think that my perspective on what a tablet should be there for is accurate. And if you would like to see a tablet with a kickstand, with good speakers, with expandable storage, with a giant battery, right? Because this is not the thinnest thing in the world, but I'd rather have a big tablet that has a big battery, especially if I'm using it, as media consumption. And it's light enough that I still like use it to read articles in bed and stuff like that. And it's totally fine from that perspective. It's not like heavy, right? So let me know down in the comments if you agree or if you think I'm way off the mark here. But from my perspective, this is so far my favorite tablet of all time, at least that I've used. There's probably been some other ones that have had kickstands built in. Maybe a while ago there were some and I just don't remember them or never had them. But this is right up there with like the original like Motorola Zoom for me. So and that did not have a kickstand, but that tablet was great for many reasons. Those of you that had one know what I'm talking about. But this tablet is amazing for the things that a tablet should do. And that's the video. Thank you, everybody, for watching.